The alarm bells rang through the council chamber, a sound that had not been heard in 300 years. The great hall filled with representatives from 12 different species, each one moving quickly to their stations. Something was very wrong. Councillor Vrath stood at the center podium, his three eyes scanning the data that flowed across the holographic displays. He was old, even by his species standards, and he had never seen readings like this before. "The Sol system is dark," he announced, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Every monitoring station we have placed around human space reports the same thing. Nothing. No signals, no energy readings, no communications. It is as if the entire system has simply stopped existing." The chamber erupted in confused chatter. The humans had been watched carefully for the last 80 years, ever since they had discovered faster-than-light travel and started exploring beyond their own world. They were loud, energetic, and growing too quickly for the council's comfort. Admiral Taeyang sat in his command chair aboard the colony ship Taeguk, watching Earth shrink in the rear displays. The blue planet grew smaller and smaller, until it was just a dot among countless others. He felt a heavy weight in his chest. This was home. This was where humanity had been born, grown, and learned to reach for the stars. But it was no longer safe. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his first officer. "The last transport cleared Saturn's orbit 10 minutes ago." "We are the final ship," Taeyang nodded slowly. "Signal the fleet. Begin the jump sequence." He thought back to the day, 15 years ago, when Dr. Yuna had burst into the military headquarters with her discovery. She had been shaking, her face pale, holding a data chip like it might explode. "They have been watching us," she had said. "The Council. They have monitoring stations hidden in the asteroid belt, on our moon, even in low orbit around Earth. They have been recording everything we do, everything we say. And Admiral, I found their communications. They are planning to eliminate us." Back in the council chamber, Vrath continued his briefing. "We have debated the human question for many years. Some of you wanted to welcome them, others wanted to observe them longer. But we all agreed on one thing: they were advancing too quickly. Their technology, their weapons, their expansion, all of it happening at a pace we have never seen before." He paused, letting his words sink in. "A species that reaches our level of technology in just 200 years, when it took us thousands, is dangerous. They do not follow our rules. They do not ask for permission. They simply do what they want." Another counselor stood up, her scales glittering under the chamber lights. "We voted. The decision was made. The human species represents a threat to galactic peace and order. They must be dealt with before they become too powerful to stop." Captain Minho piloted his small scout ship through the debris field that once held Earth's largest space station. The station was gone now. Dismantled piece by piece and loaded onto the colony ships, nothing remained but empty space and silence. He had volunteered to stay behind with the rear guard, making sure every human made it out safely. It was dangerous work. If the council came while they were still evacuating, there would be a fight, and humanity was not ready for that kind of war. "Taeguk, this is Scout 7, Minho said into his communicator. "Final sweep complete. No signs of council ships. All sectors clear." "Copy that, Scout 7, came the reply. "Return to the fleet. We jump in 30 minutes. Minho took one last look at Earth's moon. He had proposed to his wife there, at the first lunar colony, under the Earth's light shining through the dome. That colony was empty now, stripped of everything useful, left as a shell. The Council's fleet was massive, ships from all 12 member species, each one bringing their best weapons and warriors. They traveled together through the space between stars, heading toward the Sol system with one purpose: to end the human threat before it could begin. On the flagship, Vrath studied the tactical displays. "How long until we arrive?" 2 days at current speed, his tactical officer replied. "And the humans? Still no change. The system remains dark. Our intelligence suggests they are trying to hide, perhaps preparing for our arrival." Vrath made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Foolish. Where do they think they can hide? We know every planet they have colonized, every station they have built. They are trapped in their own system. Dr. Yuna had worked day and night for 10 years on the quantum fold drive. Traditional faster-than-light travel was good, but it left traces. Energy signatures that could be tracked. The Council would be able to follow any ship using standard FTL technology, but the quantum fold was different. It bent space in a way that left no trace, no signature, no trail to follow. A ship using quantum fold technology could simply disappear from one point in space and appear in another, and no one would ever know where it went. The problem was power. The fold drive needed enormous amounts of energy, more than any human ship had ever generated. So Yuna designed it for the colony ships, the massive vessels built in secret beyond Neptune. In the dark cold of the outer system, where the Council's monitoring stations could not see. It will work, she had told Admiral Taeyang. I have run the calculations 1,000 times. We can move the entire colony fleet, all at once, to the far side of the galaxy. By the time the Council realizes we are gone, we will be so far away they will never find us. The Council fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Sol system. Vrath stood at his command station, expecting to see human ships scrambling to defend their home, expecting weapons fire and desperate communications begging for mercy. Instead, he saw nothing. Scan the system, he ordered. The sensors swept through space, looking for any sign of human presence. Minutes passed. Then hours. The reports came back one by one, and they were all the same. Empty. Earth's orbital stations, empty. Mars colonies, empty. The asteroid belt mining facilities, empty. Jupiter's moons, empty. Every human settlement, every ship, every base, all of them abandoned. This is impossible, Vrath said, staring at the displays. There were billions of humans. Where did they go? His tactical officer looked up from his console, confusion clear on his face. Sir, it is not just the humans. They took everything. The stations are not just empty. They have been completely stripped. All technology, all data, all useful materials, everything is gone. Vrath felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Uncertainty. Find them, he ordered. Search every planet, every moon, every piece of rock in this system. They cannot simply disappear. But as the Council ships spread out across the Sol system, beginning their search, one thing became very clear. The humans were gone, and they had taken their whole civilization with them. Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of the Taeguk, looking at the new stars through the forward view screen. They had jumped 3 times already, each jump taking them farther from home, farther from the Council, farther into the unknown. Admiral, Dr. Yuna said, standing beside him. All colony ships report successful jumps. 0 casualties. We made it. Taeyang nodded, but he did not smile. They will look for us. Let them look, Yuna replied. We left them nothing to find. No trail. No clues. No breadcrumbs. We are ghosts now. Behind them, in the vast darkness of space, 3,000 human ships continued their journey toward a new home, toward a new future, toward freedom. The Council had come to destroy humanity, but they had come too late. The humans had already left. 3 months had passed since the Council fleet arrived at the empty Sol system. 3 months of searching, scanning, and finding nothing. Councillor Vrath sat in his private quarters, reading reports that all said the same thing. No trace of humanity. It was impossible. Billions of people could not just vanish. Ships left trails. Energy signatures could be tracked. Even if the humans had somehow escaped, they would need to leave evidence behind, but there was nothing. Counselor, his aide said, entering the room. We have found something. A signal from a system 12 light-years from Sol. Vrath stood up quickly. The humans? We believe so. The energy signature matches human technology. It appears to be an evacuation site. Finally, a lead. Vrath ordered the fleet to move immediately. Hope filled the ships as they jumped toward the signal. They would find the humans, and they would finish what they had started. But when they arrived, they found another abandoned station. This one looked like it had been used recently. There were signs of ships docking, supplies being loaded, even some equipment left behind. The Council's scientists studied everything carefully. This station was used exactly 47 days ago, one scientist reported. The humans were here. We can tell from the radiation signatures, and the waste heat still present in the station's core. Where did they go? Vrath demanded. Unknown, Counselor. There is no trail. They left another false signal pointing toward a different system. But our analysis suggests it is another decoy. Hana smiled as she watched the Council fleet appear on the long-range sensors, exactly where she predicted they would. She was 40,000 light-years away, safe in the new human colonies, but she still monitored the tracking devices her team had left behind. They found the second site, she reported to Commander Hyun. Just like we planned. Hyun nodded. He was an old soldier, gray-haired and tired, but his eyes were still sharp. How many decoy sites did we prepare? 47. Hana replied. Each one leads to another. Each one looks like we were just there and just left. It will take them years to check them all. 70. Good, Hyun said. The longer they waste time chasing ghosts, the more time we have to establish ourselves here. The Council fleet spent the next 6 months jumping from system to system, following false trails and empty signals. Each site they found looked promising. Each one had signs of recent human activity, and each one led nowhere. Frustration grew among the Council members. Some wanted to give up the search. Others insisted they continue. Arguments broke out in the Council chamber. The unity they once had slowly falling apart. This is a waste of resources, one counselor shouted. We have been hunting phantoms for months. Perhaps we should accept that the humans are gone and return to our own territories. Accept? Vrath roared back. Accept that an inferior species outsmarted us? Accept that they escaped justice? Never. But privately, Vrath was beginning to doubt. The humans had planned this too well. Every step the Council took seemed to be predicted, accounted for, turned against them. Ji-won stood in the ruins of what used to be Earth's largest data center. The building was empty now. All the servers and computers removed and taken to the colony ships, but the Council did not know what else was here. Before leaving, Ji-won had planted special devices throughout the abandoned human facilities. These devices would activate when the Council arrived, creating false energy readings and fake signals. They were designed to look exactly like recent human activity. It is beautiful, she had told her team. They will think they are close to catching us. They will think we are just ahead of them, just out of reach. But really, we were never there at all. One of her team members had asked, what if they figure it out? Ji-won had smiled. By the time they figure it out, we will be so far away, it will not matter. The Council's intelligence division worked around the clock, trying to find patterns in the false trails. They studied every piece of equipment left behind, every energy signature, every possible clue. Counselor, the Chief of Intelligence reported, we have made a disturbing discovery. The humans did not just leave. They planned this exodus for decades. We have found evidence of massive construction projects in the outer Sol system, hidden from our monitoring stations. We believe they built colony ships there, large enough to carry millions of people each. Vrath listened carefully. How many ships? How many ships? We estimate at least 3,000, possibly more. 3,000 ships, each carrying millions of people. The scale was staggering. The Council had completely underestimated human capability and determination. But, Counselor, the intelligence chief continued, there is more. We have analyzed the trajectories and jump patterns. The humans are using a form of faster-than-light travel we have never seen before. It leaves no trail, no signature. We call it quantum fold technology. Quantum fold? Vrath repeated. Apparently, yes. The humans developed it in secret. Our scientists are studying the abandoned facilities, trying to understand how it works. But Counselor, if the humans have this technology, they could be anywhere in the galaxy. We may never find them. Captain Minho stood on the observation deck of his new home, a space station orbiting a beautiful green planet in the new colony cluster. This planet had no name yet. The colonists were still debating what to call it. He thought about the old days, the days of fear when humanity lived under the Council's shadow. They had known for years that the Council was planning to eliminate them. The evidence had been clear in the intercepted communications, in the increased surveillance, in the way Council ships started appearing more often near human space. So humanity had made a choice. They could stay and fight a war they could not win. Or they could leave and find a new home where they could live in peace. The decision had not been easy. Many people wanted to stay and defend Earth, but the leadership understood the truth. The Council was too powerful, too numerous. Humanity was one species against 12. The math was simple. Better to live as free people in exile than to die as slaves on Earth, Admiral Taeyang had said. And the people had listened. Back in Council space, tensions continued to rise. Some member species started questioning the entire mission. Why were they spending so much time and resources hunting humans who were clearly gone? We have our own problems, one counselor argued. Pirates in the outer sectors, trade disputes, internal conflicts. And we are wasting our fleet chasing a species that wanted nothing more than to be left alone. But Vrath would not listen. He had convinced the Council to authorize the elimination of humanity. If they failed, if they returned empty-handed, his reputation would be destroyed. More than that, every species in the galaxy would know that the Great Galactic Council had been outsmarted by a young, supposedly primitive species. That could not be allowed to happen. Commander Hyun reviewed the final reports from the rear guard units. Every human had made it to the colony fleet safely. Not a single person had been left behind. It was a perfect evacuation. The largest in history. We did it, he said quietly. We saved everyone. His second officer nodded. The decoy systems are still active. The Council is currently investigating Site number 23. They have 24 more false trails to follow. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. By the time they realize the truth, we will have established permanent colonies. We will have farms, factories, defenses. We will be untouchable. The Council fleet continued their search, growing more desperate with each empty site they discovered. Morale among the crew was low. They had been away from home for almost a year, chasing an enemy that seemed to always be one step ahead. And in the silence of deep space, 3,000 human ships continued building a new civilization, far beyond the Council's reach, free to choose their own destiny. The Council had come to destroy humanity, but they had come too late. The humans had already left, and they had taken everything with them, leaving nothing but empty buildings and broken dreams of conquest behind. The transmission arrived without warning. Every Council ship, from the largest battleship to the smallest scout vessel, received it at exactly the same moment. The message bypassed all security protocols, appearing directly on every screen, every display, every communication system in the fleet. Counselor Vrath stared at his screen as the image resolved. It showed a human man in a military uniform, sitting calmly in what appeared to be a command chair. The man was older, with gray in his hair, but his eyes were sharp and clear. Greetings, Counselor Vrath, the human said. My name is Admiral Taeyang. I believe you have been looking for us. Vrath felt his blood run cold. How did the humans know his name? How did they send this message to every ship simultaneously? The technology required for such a feat was beyond anything the Council possessed. By now, Admiral Taeyang continued, you have realized that we are gone. You have searched for us, followed our trails, investigated our abandoned sites. You have wasted months of your time and countless resources. For that, I apologize. Well, actually, I do not apologize at all. The Admiral smiled slightly, and Vrath felt anger rising in his chest. We knew, Taeyang said. We knew about your monitoring stations. We knew about your debates in the council chamber. We knew about your decision to eliminate us. We have known for 15 years. Around the fleet, council members watched in shock. 15 years? The humans had known for 15 years? One of your own people helped us. The Admiral explained. A council liaison named Junho. He believed in us, when his own people did not. He saw that we were not a threat, just a young species trying to find our place in the galaxy. He warned us about your plans. Vroth's aide immediately began searching records for anyone named Junho. If this was true, if one of their own had betrayed the council, there would be consequences. We had a choice, Admiral Taeyang continued. We could stay and fight. We could build weapons, prepare for war, meet your fleet with violence. Many of our people wanted that. They wanted to defend Earth, to make you pay for threatening us. The Admiral paused, his expression becoming serious. But we chose differently. We chose to leave. We chose peace over war, survival over revenge. We built our colony ships in secret, in the cold dark beyond Neptune, where your sensors could not reach. We prepared for 50 years, planning every detail, making sure every human could be evacuated safely. Dr. Yuna sat in her laboratory on the colony ship, watching the transmission on her own screen. She had written parts of this message, helping the Admiral find the right words that would make the Council understand what they had done. You want to know where we are, Taeyang said. You want to find us, capture us, perhaps destroy us, as you originally planned. I will tell you this. We are far away. Farther than you can imagine. We have found something wonderful. Something your council has never discovered despite ruling the galaxy for thousands of years. He leaned forward slightly. We have found a place where we can be free, a place with dozens of habitable worlds, rich resources, and no one to tell us we are advancing too quickly or breaking rules we never agreed to follow. The transmission changed, showing images of beautiful planets with blue oceans and green forests, space stations under construction, human children playing in colony gardens under alien suns. This is our new home, the Admiral said. And before you think about searching for it, let me save you the trouble. These images show our location from 6 months ago. We have already moved on. You see, our quantum fold technology allows us to travel in ways you cannot track, cannot follow, cannot comprehend. Sora, the diplomat who had helped draft the message, watched nervously. This was the crucial part, the section that would either make the Council understand or make them more determined to hunt humanity down. I want to thank you, Admiral Taeyang said, and his tone became almost gentle. Thank you for teaching us an important lesson. You taught us that the galaxy is not ready for peace. You taught us that no matter how peaceful we tried to be, no matter how much we followed your rules, you would always see us as a threat. He stood up, the camera following him as he walked to a viewport showing stars beyond. You taught us that we cannot trust alien civilizations to treat us fairly. You taught us that we must rely on ourselves, on our own strength, on our own unity. And for that education, harsh as it was, we are grateful. The Admiral turned back to face the camera. We are not your enemies. We never were. We just wanted to live, to grow, to explore the universe in peace. But you could not allow that. You saw our potential and feared it. Yunji, the xenobiologist who had studied council species for years, had contributed data to this part of the message. She had identified exactly how to explain humanity's departure in terms the council would understand. We know your weaknesses, Taeyang said calmly. We studied you as carefully as you studied us. We know your fleet coordination is slow. We know your member species argue constantly. We know your technology has not advanced significantly in 500 years because you are too comfortable, too certain of your superiority. He paused, letting that sink in. If we wanted war, we could hurt you. Our technology is already beyond yours in many ways. Our quantum fold drives, our automated manufacturing, our artificial intelligence systems, all of it surpasses what you have achieved. But we do not want war. We want to be left alone. The transmission showed coordinates, a specific location in space. These coordinates will show you where we were 3 months ago. You will find one of our way station facilities. It has been completely cleared out. But you will see proof that we were there. You will also see evidence of our capabilities. Evidence that should make you think very carefully about whether continuing to hunt us is wise. Counselor Vrath ordered the fleet to jump to the coordinates immediately. He had to know what was there, had to see this evidence for himself. When they arrived 2 days later, they found the way station. It was massive, far larger than anything the Council had ever built. And it was completely destroyed. But not by weapons. It had been carefully dismantled, every useful piece removed, and the rest collapsed in on itself. Counselor, the science officer reported, the scale of this facility is incredible. Based on the support structures, we estimate it could dock 50 capital ships simultaneously. The power generation systems, though removed, left behind signatures suggesting output levels we cannot match. Vrath walked through the wreckage using a remote probe, seeing the evidence with his own eyes. The humans had built this in secret, used it, and then destroyed it so thoroughly that nothing useful remained. On one wall, they found a message written in glowing letters. It was in the Council's own language, perfect and grammatically correct. You came too late. We were already gone. Do not look for us. Do not follow us. Leave us in peace. And we will leave you in peace. This is our only warning. Below the message was a signature. Admiral Taeyang. Back on the flagship, Vrath received another report. Counselor, we have identified the traitor. Junho, a liaison officer who worked with humans 20 years ago. He disappeared from service 15 years ago. Records show he requested transfer to deep space observation, but he never reported to his new post. Find him, Vrath ordered. Counselor, we believe he is with the humans. He defected completely. The transmission had ended, but its impact continued. Council ships across the fleet debated what they had seen. Some crews wanted to continue the hunt. Others wanted to return home. The unity that had brought them together was falling apart. And far away, on a colony ship called Taeguk, Admiral Taeyang sat down with Dr. Yuna and Sora. Do you think they understood? Sora asked. Some of them will, Taeyang replied. Some of them will realize that hunting us is pointless and dangerous. Others will keep looking out of pride. Let them look, Dr. Yuna said. We have already won. We are free. And we are home. Young Do-yoon, the youngest colony ship captain at only 30 years old, watched the conversation from the doorway. He represented the future, the generation that would grow up in these new worlds, never knowing the fear of living under the Council's shadow. Admiral, Do-yoon said, what if they find us anyway? Taeyang smiled. Then we move again. The galaxy is large, Captain, and we are very good at disappearing. The Council fleet remained at the destroyed way station for a week, gathering what little information they could. But in the end, they learned what Admiral Taeyang had wanted them to learn. The humans were gone. The humans were powerful. And the humans were not coming back. The Council chamber had never been so loud. 12 species, once united in their decision to eliminate humanity, now shouted at each other across the Great Hall. A year had passed since they discovered the empty Sol system, and they had nothing to show for it except wasted resources and growing anger. We have spent enough, roared Councillor Dreth, his scales turning dark red with frustration. My people need our fleet at home. We have pirates attacking our trade routes, while our ships chase ghosts across the galaxy. Your pirates are your problem, Vrath shot back. We made a decision as a council. We must see it through. See what through? Another councillor demanded. The humans are gone. They beat us. Accept it and move on. Vrath slammed his hand on the podium. I will not accept that a primitive species outsmarted the Galactic Council. But even as he spoke, Vrath knew he was losing control. 3 of the member species had already recalled their ships, returning them to their home territories. The great fleet that had set out to punish humanity was falling apart. Dr. Nari read through her analysis reports, her eyes tired from lack of sleep. She was a xenopsychologist, brought in by the Council to study humanity's behavior and predict their next moves. But the more she learned, the more impressed she became. They planned for every possibility, she explained to a group of Council scientists. Look at this data. The humans started preparing their evacuation 50 years before we made our decision to eliminate them. How did they know? One of the scientists suggested. Perhaps they were always paranoid. Perhaps they saw threats that did not exist. No, Nari said firmly. They saw us clearly. They understood that we would never accept them as equals. They predicted our behavior better than we predicted theirs. She pulled up another report. And look at this economic analysis. Human trade accounted for 15% of total galactic commerce. 15%. In just 80 years, they became one of our most important trading partners. Their disappearance has caused a recession in 4 sectors. The scientist looked surprised. I did not know that. Neither did most of the Council, Nari replied. We were so focused on seeing humans as a threat that we ignored how much we had come to depend on them. Junho sat in a small apartment on one of the human colony worlds, looking out at the sunset. The sky was purple here, not blue like Earth, but it was beautiful in its own way. He was the only non-human in the entire colony cluster, and he had never felt more at home. A knock on his door brought him back from his thoughts. It was Admiral Taeyang. May I come in? The Admiral asked. Of course, Junho replied. This is your colony, not mine. I am the guest here. They sat together. 2 old friends who had made impossible choices. Junho had given up everything to warn humanity about the Council's plans. His career, his family, his entire life among his own people. Do you regret it? Taeyang asked quietly. Junho was silent for a moment, then shook his head. No, the Council was wrong. I saw how hard humans tried to follow our rules, to fit into our society. And I saw how the Council rewarded that effort with fear and hatred. They are suffering now, Taeyang said. Our intelligence shows the Council is fracturing. Some species want to end the hunt. Others refuse to give up. Species. Good, Junho said, and there was no joy in his voice, only sadness. Maybe they will learn something from this. Maybe they will change. Back in Council space, the fractures grew deeper. Secret reports began surfacing about other species that had maintained friendly relationships with humans. Trade agreements that had never been revealed to the Council. Scientific collaborations, cultural exchanges. This is a betrayal, Vrath shouted when he saw the evidence. These species were supposed to support the Council's decision, not trade with the enemy behind our backs. But the accused counselors did not back down. The humans were never our enemy, one of them replied calmly. That was your fear, Vrath, not ours. We saw an opportunity for mutual benefit. And we took it. And now those benefits are gone. Another added. Our economies are suffering because you convinced us to threaten the humans. We have lost a valuable partner because of your paranoia. The accusations continued. Some counselors demanded Vrath's resignation. Others defended him, saying he had only done what he thought was best for the Council. The unity that had held the Galactic Council together for thousands of years was crumbling. On the colony world Seojun called home, life continued peacefully. He was a colony administrator, responsible for organizing the settlement of 3 million humans on a planet they had named Saesang. The work was hard but rewarding. Sir, one of his assistants said, we have reports of a Council ship in the nearby system. Not a military vessel, just a small explorer. Seojun frowned. Are they looking for us? We do not think so. They seem to be conducting normal survey operations. But sir, they are only 2 jumps away from our outer colonies. This was concerning. The humans had worked hard to keep their new location secret. But the galaxy was large, and eventually someone might stumble upon them by accident. Monitor them closely, Seojun ordered. But do not engage. If they discover us, we will deal with it then. For now, we remain hidden. The Council's intelligence division worked frantically to understand how the humans had escaped. They analyzed every piece of data, every abandoned facility, every scrap of information left behind. "We have made a breakthrough," the intelligence chief reported to what remained of the Council. "We have been able to partially reconstruct the human quantum fold technology. It is incredibly advanced, far beyond anything we have achieved." "Can we replicate it?" Vrath asked. "No, Counselor, not without another 50 years of research, possibly more. The mathematics involved are extremely complex. We are not even sure we understand the basic principles." The report continued, "But we have made another discovery. Based on our analysis of the abandoned way station and the energy signatures we detected, we believe the humans are somewhere beyond the galactic rim. They have gone to a region of space that we have never explored." This caused a stir among the counselors. The galactic rim was the edge of known space, a region considered too far and too empty to be worth exploring. "Why would they go there?" one counselor asked. "Because we would never think to look there," another replied. "It is brilliant, really. They found a region of space so far from our territory that we could search for 1,000 years and never find them." Dr. Nari submitted her final report to the council. It was not what they wanted to hear. "In my professional opinion," she wrote, "humanity's exodus was not an act of cowardice, but of wisdom. They understood they could not win a war against the council, so they chose not to fight. They demonstrated remarkable unity, advanced planning, and technological innovation. These are not the traits of a primitive or dangerous species. These are the traits of a mature civilization." She continued, "The Council's decision to eliminate humanity was based on fear rather than facts. We feared their rapid advancement, their independence, their refusal to conform to our expectations. But fear is a poor basis for policy. We have lost a potentially valuable ally, damaged our own unity, and demonstrated to the galaxy that the Great Galactic Council can be outsmarted by a single species working together." Her conclusion was harsh. "We did not lose because humanity was stronger. We lost because we were wrong." The report was buried immediately. Some counselors wanted to arrest Dr. Nari for writing it, but others quietly agreed with her assessment. As months turned into years, the council slowly accepted reality. The humans were gone. The search had failed. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted in ways no one had predicted. Some council members began visiting the abandoned human facilities, not as investigators but as pilgrims, trying to understand what had happened. They walked through empty cities on Mars, through silent stations orbiting Jupiter, through the ruins of humanity's first space colonies, and they began to understand. The humans had not just run away. They had made a choice. A difficult choice. To sacrifice their home, rather than become what their enemies expected them to be. Young Captain Minji trained with her fleet in the new human territory. She was part of the first generation born after the Exodus, raised on stories of Earth, but never having seen it. Her fleet was small but advanced, equipped with the latest technology Dr. Yuna's team had developed. "Remember," Admiral Taeyang told her pilots during a briefing, "we left to avoid war, not because we feared it. If the Council finds us and chooses violence, we are ready." But Taeyang hoped it would never come to that. He hoped the Council had learned their lesson. Back in the Council chamber, Vrath stood alone. Most of the other counselors had left, returning to their home worlds to deal with local problems. The Grand Fleet had disbanded. The hunt for humanity had ended not with victory or defeat, but with exhaustion and acceptance. "They won," Vrath admitted quietly to the empty chamber. "Not with weapons or threats, but by simply choosing to leave. They won by refusing to play our game." It was a lesson the Galactic Council would not soon forget. And somewhere beyond the galactic rim, 3,000 human ships continued building a new civilization. Free and safe at last. 20 years had passed since the evacuation. A full generation of human children had grown up in the new colony cluster, never knowing the fear their parents had lived with. They played in gardens under alien suns, went to schools on different worlds, and dreamed of futures their ancestors could never have imagined. Captain Minji stood on the bridge of her ship, the Mugunghwa, conducting routine patrol along the outer edge of human territory. She was 35 years old now, born during the journey to the new home, and she had never seen Earth except in pictures and videos. "Captain," her sensor officer said, "we are detecting a ship approaching from Council space. It is alone. No weapons active. Broadcasting diplomatic signals." Minji felt her heart race. After 20 years of silence, the Council was reaching out. "Can you identify the ship?" "Yes, Captain. It is registered as a Council diplomatic vessel. They are requesting permission to approach and speak with our leadership." This was unexpected. Minji immediately sent a message to Admiral Taeyang, who was now 73 years old and officially retired. Though everyone still came to him for advice, the Admiral's response came quickly. "Allow them to approach, but keep weapons ready. Let us hear what they have to say." The Council ship was small and unarmed, carrying only a single representative and a small crew. When they docked at the main human station, they were met by a security team and escorted to a meeting room where Admiral Taeyang, now called Elder Taeyang by most humans, waited with several other leaders. The Council representative was young, not the same generation that had voted to eliminate humanity. He bowed respectfully. "Elder Taeyang," he said, "my name is Counselor J. I come with a message from the Galactic Council, and more importantly, with a request for help." Taeyang gestured for him to sit. "We are listening." "Are listening," Counselor J explained the situation. 20 years ago, the Council made a terrible mistake. We allowed fear to guide our decisions. We tried to eliminate a species that had done nothing wrong except grow and prosper. We have paid for that mistake. He activated a holographic display showing current Council space. Large sections were marked in red. A new threat has emerged from beyond the southern rim. We call them the Swarm. They are not like us, not biological, not technological, in the way we understand. They consume entire worlds, taking everything and leaving nothing behind. They have destroyed 6 of our colonies in the past 2 years. Taeyang studied the display carefully. "Why come to us? You have 12 member species with powerful militaries." "Because," Jay said quietly, "we are losing. Our fleets cannot stop them. Our weapons barely slow them down. We have tried everything, and nothing works. But we have heard rumors that humanity has continued to advance, to develop new technologies. We come not as conquerors but as beggars, asking for help." The room was silent. Many of the human leaders wanted to refuse immediately. Why should they help the Council that had tried to destroy them? But Elder Taeyang thought differently. "Show me everything you know about this swarm." For the next 3 hours, Counselor J shared all the data the Council had gathered. Dr. Yuna, now head of the Human Research Division, analyzed the information with her team. When she returned to the meeting room, her expression was serious. "This is real," she said. "The swarm is a genuine threat. If they continue unchecked, they will eventually consume the entire galaxy, including our territory." Taeyang nodded slowly. He had expected this. "How long do we have?" "At their current rate of expansion, they will reach our colonies in approximately 15 years. Probably less if they speed up." The meeting ended with Counselor J being asked to wait while the human leadership discussed the situation. The debate was intense. "Why should we help them?" one leader argued. "They tried to kill us." "Because it is the right thing to do," another replied. "We did not leave to become isolated. We left to be free. There is a difference." Seo Jun, now the chief administrator of all human colonies, spoke up. "If we refuse to help, we are no better than they were. We become exactly what they feared. A selfish species that only cares about itself." Young Yuna, a child of 12 named after the famous Dr. Yuna, sat in her classroom learning about Earth. The teacher showed them videos of the old world, explaining why humanity had left. "We did not leave because we were weak," the teacher said. "We left because we were smart. We chose life over death, peace over war. And now, We are stronger than we ever were on Earth. One student raised her hand. Will we ever go back to Earth? Maybe someday, the teacher replied. But this is our home now. These worlds, these stars, this is where we belong. Back in the meeting room, Elder Taeyang had made his decision. When Counselor J was brought back in, the Admiral looked at him with eyes that had seen too much history. We will help you, Taeyang said. Not because we owe you anything. Not because we have forgiven what you tried to do to us. We will help because it is right, and because the swarm is a threat to all life, not just council species. Counselor J looked like he might cry. Thank you so much. But there are conditions, Taeyang continued. First, the council will formally apologize for their attempt to eliminate humanity. Second, they will recognize our sovereignty and independence. Third, they will establish trade agreements with us as equals. And fourth, once this crisis is over, we will have a seat on the council if we choose to take it. Jay nodded immediately. I have authorization to agree to all of those terms. Captain Minji received her orders 3 days later. She was to lead a joint Human Council task force against the swarm. It was a position of great responsibility, and she was nervous. You can do this, Elder Taeyang told her when they met before she departed. You represent everything humanity has become. Strong, capable, and choosing to help even when we do not have to. What if the council betrays us? Minji asked. Then we leave again, Taeyang replied with a slight smile. We are very good at disappearing, but I do not think they will betray us this time. They have learned their lesson. The joint fleet assembled at a neutral location. Human ships, sleek and advanced with their quantum fold drives, met with council vessels. Older but still powerful, it was a strange sight. These two forces that had almost gone to war now standing side by side. Minji addressed both fleets over the communication channel. We are here for one purpose: to stop the swarm. We are not here as humans or council species. We are here as defenders of life. Whatever has happened in the past, today we fight together. The battle against the swarm was hard. It took 3 years of constant fighting, of losses and victories, of learning to work together despite old wounds. But slowly, the combined fleet began to push the swarm back. Human technology made the difference. The quantum fold drives allowed for rapid repositioning. Human artificial intelligence helped predict swarm movements. Human weapons, designed with newer understanding of physics, actually damaged the swarm in ways council weapons could not. But it was the cooperation that truly mattered. Council species provided numbers and experience. Humans provided innovation and adaptability. Together, they were far stronger than either could have been alone. 5 years after the first meeting, the swarm was finally contained and pushed back beyond the galactic rim. The crisis was over. The galaxy was safe. At a great ceremony on one of the council's central worlds, Counselor J stood before representatives from all species, including a large human delegation. 20 years ago, he said, the council made a choice based on fear. We tried to destroy humanity because we were afraid of what they might become. Today, we know what they became. Our saviors. They had every reason to refuse our request for help, but they chose compassion over revenge. He turned to Elder Taeyang, who stood with Captain Minji and Dr. Yuna. The Galactic Council formally apologizes for the wrongs committed against humanity. We were unjust, we were cruel, and we were wrong. We hope, with time, you can forgive us. Elder Taeyang stepped forward. At 78, he was old, but his voice was still strong. We accept your apology. Not because we have forgotten what you tried to do, but because we choose to move forward rather than live in the past. He paused, looking out at the assembled representatives. When your fleet came to Sol System to eliminate us, you came too late. Not just because we had already left, but because, by the time you arrived, we were already who we needed to be. We were united. We were prepared. And we knew our own worth. The old admiral smiled. You tried to destroy us because you saw us as a threat. Instead, you taught us to be strong. You taught us to work together. You taught us that we could not depend on others for our survival. And in teaching us those lessons, you created exactly what you feared. But you also created something else. A species that chooses to help even when we do not have to. Later that evening, Minji walked through the gardens of the council's central station with young Yuna, who was now 17 and studying to become an engineer like her namesake. Do you think we did the right thing? Yuna asked, helping them after what they tried to do. Minji thought about it carefully. I think we did the human thing. We did not let their past actions change who we are. That is our strength. Will we go back to Earth someday? Maybe, Minji replied. But Earth will always be there, waiting. Right now, we have new worlds, new homes, new futures to build. And this time, we build them as equals, not as subjects. In the old Sol system, Earth still orbited the sun, empty and waiting. The Council had offered to help humanity resettle their homeworld. But most humans were not interested. The new colonies were home now, but some went back. Small groups who wanted to maintain the old world, to keep it ready for future generations. They walked through the empty cities, tended the parks, and kept the lights on. Will humans ever live here again? A visitor asked one of the caretakers. Perhaps, the caretaker replied, but even if they do not, Earth will always be important. It is where we began. It is where we learned who we were. And it is the place we left to save ourselves. Elder Taeyang returned to the colonies, his mission complete. He sat in his garden, looking up at the alien stars, thinking about the journey humanity had taken. They had been threatened with extinction. They had abandoned their home. They had hidden in the darkness beyond the galactic rim. And they had survived. More than survived, they had thrived, they had grown, they had become the species they were always meant to be. The Council's attack had come too late because humanity was already gone, but more importantly, it had come too late because humanity had already won, not through violence or conquest, but by refusing to be victims, by choosing their own path, and by staying true to their values even when it would have been easier to give in to anger and revenge. And that, Elder Taeyang thought as the alien sun set over his garden, was the greatest victory of all.